In August of 1987, Tom Young mysteriously disappeared outside a small town in Colorado. A year later, Keith Reinhard also mysteriously disappeared outside the same small town. Here's the twist. Reinhard was writing a book based on Young's disappearance. He became obsessed with him, and the two even rented the same storefront. So what happened? Is this a tragic tale of mental illness? Or is there a deeper conspiracy yet to be uncovered? I'm Mike.
I'm Ian.
And I'm Dave. If you're a fan of mysteries coupled with curious coincidences, stick around. Whether your name is Keith, Tom, or even Gus, you're sure to be thinking about this one for days. This is Necronomipod.
I watched the Unsolved Mysteries from season 2 on this case we're covering tonight.
Yeah, it's back in like 1990, something like that.
It is
91
old.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It reminded me...
Before that even, maybe.
Really? It might be.
I did not grow
Maybe.
up watching it. I only started watching it when we did this show, and you guys would be like, hey, check out this episode or whatever. So I didn't grow up with it like you guys did. But it reminded me from when we watched previous episodes for the show how much I love the cheesy reenactments.
Oh, yeah.
They're so fucking corny, but they're so fun and entertaining.
Sometimes they had the real people doing the reenactment on there. They didn't even
They're like,
pay people.
Oh, you're not an actor and we don't have to pay your fucking union fees? Yeah, come on the fuck in.
I know, I was cracking up.
1988 season 1.
88?
Yeah.
They're like, SAG? Never heard of her. You, come on in. You're doing this. We'll give you $50 and a hot dog for lunch. Bag of chips, bring your own drink.
I like when the reenactment of Keith showing up in Sliver Plume and his friend comes out. He's like, hey, Keith, what's going on? You turkey? And they're like all hugging each other and shit.
You turkey.
I was cracking up.
Network TV.
I like that the actor who played Keith could have been straight out of Leonard Skinner.
Yeah.
Just with the goatee and just the hair. Yeah. I don't know. It was entertaining.
So I watched that as well yesterday, and I was in the Unsolved Mysteries mood then, so I skipped ahead to later seasons. Robert Stack had a bit of work done because he looks quite different.
That's the host?
Yeah, in the later seasons. Very, very different.
Here's an unsolved mystery, Mr. Stack. The fuck happened to your face?
Whew.
By the end of the season, you hear his voice, but his mouth's not even moving because it's so plastic.
It's so tight. Yeah, watch season 1, Robert Stack, and then skip ahead about 10 years and see.
How long did he do that show?
I want to say 15 years.
It's a long time.
When was the last one? And then they did those weird things where Dennis Farina hosted recuts later on. Do you remember that?
I didn't see those ones.
It's the same stories, but
their version of Necro Overtime?
yeah, it's very strange.
I had a family member
16.
who watched it all the time. So I grew up, when I hear that music go in Robert Stack, maybe you can solve a mystery. It's just reminds me of being a kid.
You get a little hard in the slightest.
Yeah.
It was so good. What a great show.
I like the more real life version of Unsolved Mysteries. It's Carl Monday, Fox 8. He goes after those mysteries and he'll solve them right then and
He
there.
does. He almost came to blows with our friend George Forbes, city council president.
He didn't almost come to blows. He almost just got his fucking ass whooped. I don't think Carl Monday had been throwing any blows.
George Forbes would have threw him out the window.
I feel like Carl Monday would have just been that pesky little mouse though. You throw him out he's just fucking coming right back. You're not you're just not going to get rid of him.
He's like, motherfucker, I just threw you out the window.
What did DX set it?
It's Carl going down from the 4th floor.
The commercials, you hear him just running back up the steps.
What the fuck?
He just keeps coming back.
I thought I threw your ass out the window.
The trench coat works as a parachute. He can get a safe landing.
He's like Inspector Gadget or something with that trench coat.
That and his mustache like flap. He's the best. Anyways, so how do we find this one? Was this yours, Dave? Did you pull this one out?
Yeah, I just came across it one day reading. I'm like, that's a really cool story. Well, not cool, I guess. Interesting.
It is very interesting.
Makes you think. I don't know.
It's a weird one for
Yeah, I
sure.
like these ones where you could sit around and kind of come up with possible scenarios and whatnot.
I had my thoughts on it, and then I read Ian's notes, and I was like, oh, that's different than what I was thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I like when we can kind of talk these things through and be like, oh, I'm changing my mind. Now I'm changing my mind again.
Yeah, when I initially read about it, I thought one thing, and I was watching the reenactment. I'm like, go back and forth. Yeah.
Does Unsolved Mysteries tend to have a little bit of an agenda with the way they tell their stories, or do they try to keep it as straight as possible?
I don't think, not that I remember. I don't remember detecting agendas.
No.
I'm not saying they do. I'm just asking if they tended to have
I don't think so.
probably because it makes it more mysterious if they don't sway you one way or the other.
Yeah.
Right? It's in
yeah.
their best interest to make it as mysterious as possible.
One of the best ones was the Men in Black. Remember the Men in Black one where they came
Yeah.
up to the guy at the garage and stuff?
I think we watched that one. Didn't
Really
we?
fucking
think so.
creepy one.
I think I watched that because for whatever the show we did.
Probably did. That's a good one. Go back and watch that if you've never seen that.
Did that show also have the security footage? Remember from like that office building where those guys walk in?
No, that was just something.
That was something, and they're like almost bald with like those like
In that
fucking
hotel?
Breaking Bad caps, and then they like turn around and walk out. That's really
The
creepy
guy
too.
said that they were being real weird. Like
Yeah.
They were like fucking with the pens and stuff.
It could be probably really easy to play a Men in Black prank on somebody. Like if you just look weird enough and act weird enough, you could pull that off.
Just to be super unsettling.
Yeah, and then just leave. And like, fuck yeah, we got him.
It's easy to make people uncomfortable. You just stare at them in the wrong way.
Well, yeah, but I mean like in the Men in Black sense, like you know, act like you're almost quite there, but
Sure.
something's off. Like you'd have to make like low key about it. Like you just shave your eyebrows. Because like that's like something where like when you see someone with no eyebrows, you look at them and you're like, something is off with them, but I can't figure out what it is. And you're like, oh, they have no fucking eyebrows. But like just something low key like that, I think is a good start. No, someone's gonna steal my fucking idea, but
I think it would add to the mystique
yeah,
of someone.
that and
No
then like you
eyebrows,
act
sure.
you act like you've never seen a clicky pen before, and you're like in awe of it, or like you drop it and act like you're afraid at first. Like, why did that make a noise?
Yeah, I would tell you to leave. if
Yeah.
I was-
Put it in your ear.
Have like a weird smile, but like you know, no eyebrows, no eyelashes, or something. All right. Anyways,
Well, long live, or rest in peace, Robert Stack.
Yeah.
One of the best. Fucking love that show.
yeah, he did the voice for one of the Transformers in the original cartoon movie.
Did he? Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah.
Cool guy.
all those seasons are now free on Prime, right? Or if you have a subscription to Prime.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, let's dive into this little ditty.
Story doesn't start with Keith Reinhard. It starts with the disappearance of a guy named Tom Young. I couldn't find Tom's exact birth date other than he was born in 1940. He was a U.S. Army Special Forces vet. Then he later worked as a high school art teacher. Once his teaching career was over, Tom moved to Sliver Plume, Colorado to live a more quiet life. And that's really easy to do in Sliver Plume. There's only 207 people who live there. It's a small town.
That sounds pretty great sometimes.
That's a tiny town.
All by myself.
Well, you think of that, and then what's that fucking Australian place we covered?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know if I want to live in that small of a
The
town.
patty.
Yeah.
There's no law enforcement.
Yeah.
No,
everyone knows everything, and you have your fucking rivalries, and then it's just lawlessness.
You got to have your guns there.
Yeah.
I found this interesting summary of this town, Sliver Plume, like a bit of a history about them. And it says the old mining town of Sliver Plume is known as the, quote, living ghost town. Since the 1890 silver crash, its population has plummeted to a mere 130. That's even lower. So it probably fluctuates depending on who's in town. Largely a melting pot of transplants from around the country, teachers, artisans, builders. The town just the blink of an eye along the interstate 45 miles west of Denver has an eerie, windswept vacantness. Steep canyon walls sandwich the valley in shadow. The north side of town receives as little as 2.5 hours of direct sunlight a day in winter. The south doesn't see the sun at all for about 6 weeks a year. That's kind of crazy, right? To add to its darkness, Sliver Plume is haunted by a century-old pattern of bizarre, mysterious deaths. A granite shrine looming on a cliff above town serves as a reminder of its macabre legacy. Clifford Griffin, superintendent of the 730 mine, died by a bullet to the head in 1887. Over 100 years later, Sliver Plume's people continue to argue whether Clifford committed suicide or was murdered.
That fits right
So
in.
there you go.
Everything about that article you read sounds awesome, and that I could live there other than like that lack of sunlight. That'd be a little rough.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that at all.
2.5 hours at the best in winter.
It's
That's
certain
be
end
a
of town, yeah.
but at the south end, you're getting
6
even
weeks
less.
with no sun.
Yeah, that's rough.
That's like Barrow, Alaska up there, 30 days a night town.
But they're not even night. They just don't get the sun, right? It's just covered
Yeah.
by the mountains. Other than that, a small town, secluded, that does sound pretty good.
Sounds good some of the time.
You think I got a Taco Bell?
No. Oh, I don't think they do.
But then again, like 45 miles from Denver is not bad.
You got all the weed you want in Colorado.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that sun issue, I'd be all about it.
We'd be packing up and moving, right?
Yeah.
I hate the sun. I'll take that any
No,
day.
I need to see the sun. Like it's too
need the sun.
depressing. It's too sad. You can't have that.
I want to go spend a month in the winter at one of those northern towns where the sun doesn't come out for 30 days. I want to see what that's like.
I think for a week it might be fun, and then I think you would just get so depressed.
Yeah?
I think it would just throw your body off.
I like
Yeah.
it dark.
I do too, but I don't think I would feel good after too long.
No
of it.
wonder. I'm
Like I
curious.
also love like rain. Like I think that's peaceful. It's relaxing when it rains. And then after like 3 days, you're like, oh man, like I need something else.
Yeah.
Which I think we get lucky here in Ohio. We get everything.
Yeah, it's
You get
always
hot,
changing.
you get
Sure.
cold, you get sun, you get snow, you get rainstorms.
There's something to be said for having the 4 changing seasons.
Oh, I wouldn't. I don't think I could live anywhere that didn't have 4 seasons.
Yeah. Like Florida.
Well, of course not. It's well established. But I don't think I could do no sunlight or, like you said, like just the darkness. I think that'd be rough after a while.
Yeah, not permanently. I'd like to try it for a month and just see what that's like up on the top of the world there. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I would like the desolateness all the time. Like sometimes I like to be out on acreage by myself with no one around, but other times like I like to be in the city with tons of stuff to do.
Yeah.
So I like to split my time. So I don't know how that works. But then again, like you said, you're only 45 minutes from Denver. So
I think this location's pretty perfect.
yeah,
In that
I mean,
sense.
I'm 45 minutes from Cleveland, so that's nothing.
Well, they're 45 miles. What are we? A little more than 45 miles. We're
little less.
We're
We're
less.
right around
That's what I
there,
mean.
yeah.
Less than that. But yeah, that's not bad.
Not at all.
Never mind the mysterious deaths. That doesn't affect me. That affects everyone else, not us.
I'm still alive.
In Sliver Plume, Tom was known as a loner, someone who kept to himself and didn't really interact with anyone. No one said anything bad about him, just that he was kind of a mystery. Tom had a big black dog named Gus, and he owned the Charing Cross Station bookstore. Tom did do one odd thing that I read about. He would play fetch with Gus around town with the head of a baby doll. It's kind of weird. And it became one of those like small town things like, oh, there's Tom just out there throwing the baby doll head around.
Maybe if it was a baby's head, it'd be weird, but the dog probably just found a doll somewhere and like I don't know.
Nothing against Tom.
Yeah.
It's just
Just an odd little note, but yeah, I mean, dogs like what dogs like, right?
You know, it's funny. I was watching the Unsolved Mysteries and they had the Charing Cross subway sign up on the building in the reenactment. I'm like, because I've been to Charing Cross subway station in London. I'm like, why is that up there? They didn't say what the name of the store was in the documentary. I go, all right, that makes sense. Now I got it.
around the second week of August 1987, Tom started telling people around town that he was going to be taking a trip to Europe. People in town thought that a trip to Europe was something that Tom would absolutely enjoy, but there was no way he was leaving behind his dog Gus for any period of time. Right at the beginning of September in 1987, Tom closed up his bookstore and no one ever saw him or his dog Gus again. People in town started getting nibby when Tom's bookstore stayed closed for almost a week, wondering if he really did go to Europe. People reached out to dog kennels around the area and learned that Gus hadn't been boarded at any of them. September 7th, 1987 was when Tom was officially listed as missing. No one ever found evidence that he actually went to Europe. Tom wasn't abandoning Gus, and he wasn't taking a dog that big to Europe, so people in Silver Plume feared the worst. And Gus is a big dog. There's a picture.
What kind of dog was he? Did you say? Or
it was black. It looked like it wasn't a Great Dane, but the picture looked something similar, maybe.
That's a big fucking
It was
dog.
big, yeah.
yeah.
I miss bookstores. We used to have a nice bookstore in town.
Yeah.
I can relate to these people.
There's still
When they're
one.
Yeah.
It's tiny.
Yeah.
You know?
I like going to Barnes and Noble. It feels like I don't know.
It feels almost vintage anymore.
Well, it feels like a special trip. Like, oh, let's go to
It
Barnes and Noble.
does.
I get my hair cut out by a Barnes and Noble near us, so almost every time I go, I'll leave early just to kind of stop in Barnes and Noble and see what's out there and what's new. But it's not as good as an old bookstore, vintage bookstore, things like that.
No,
Like just
that's
walking
different,
around,
sure.
and you don't know what you're gonna find, and but you know, everyone's got their tablets nowadays, and they use those, and
But the prices at the bookstore, I find book and I go, I wonder how much this costs on Amazon. And it's like half as much. I'm like,
absolutely.
I know I shouldn't be doing this, and I feel bad, and I know eventually we're just going to put everyone out of business, but I'm not paying twice as much as to buy it in this bookstore.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's been times where I will shop at Barnes and Noble to purchase on Amazon.
I do it all the time. Every time I go in there.
It makes so much more sense.
I just like to browse, but I don't like to buy it there.
Here's a good example. I really like the Calvin and Hobbes comics from back in the day.
Sure.
So I was at Barnes and Noble, and they had a box set, like a full collection, and it was $110. I'm like, God, that's a lot of fucking money for. Like, I don't know if I want to spend all that. Got on Amazon, $66.
And it was at your house before you got home.
Right.
I'm like, okay, I can do $66.
Yeah, it's.
Look, on one hand, I feel bad.
But what are you
yeah.
supposed to do when it's that much of a difference?
I know.
Like, it's almost irresponsible to spend that much more money when you could be saving, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Like if it's a mom and pop bookstore, man,
Absolutely.
maybe, but I'm not paying 40% more to feed the coffers at Barnes and Noble's shareholders. I'm not doing it.
If I'm at an actual bookstore, I'll buy everything that I see. And I had that. I think I told it on this show when I had to go to Jacksonville recently, and I found an old bookstore, and I came home with 9 fucking books I had to fit in my carry-on bag. Yeah. But I was like,
That's a different story.
One, like some of them are used, so it just gives it that different feel and quality. 2, like it's a little shop. Like I'm gonna support them. I'll pay whatever they're asking for that book.
Right. The world's going to be over soon anyway.
Yeah.
No one will remember all this. Doesn't matter.
Those of us with enough books, we could burn them and have enough fire to live longer than everyone else. So fuck you with your Kindles. Don't come to my campfire and try to cook your human flesh.
So at the same time that Tom Young went missing, in Chicago, Illinois, Keith Reinhard was approaching 50 years old and going through a midlife crisis. Keith had been a sports writer at the Chicago Daily Herald for the past 22 years, was very successful at it, and as a result lived in a very well-off Chicago suburb. But that midlife crisis crept in, and he started daydreaming about a lifelong goal that he had of writing a novel. It was something that he always wanted to do, but never had time to fully focus on. And he figured it was now or never.
Does everyone have one book in them?
To write?
Yeah. Like not
I
necessarily a
don't know.
novelist, but does everyone have one book that they can write?
Do
Do you have an idea for one if you wanted to write
do
a
I have an
book?
idea now?
Yeah.
No.
Do you think you have one book in you?
Do I think I could get a book out of me? Yeah.
Yeah, I do
Do I
too.
think I ever would? No.
No, I'll say.
That's a lot of writing, pal.
Yeah.
I had to write notes for my history show sometimes, and I'm like, oh, I hate this. This is the worst.
I don't know, man. By the time I think about how many episodes that we've done, how many outlines, you could probably make this into a book.
Yeah, but I think what Dave means is like your
pages. I mean.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
I think Dave means your own original idea of a book.
Like you have one idea that's always been floating in the back of your head.
Look, I think you just see like some of these greatest writers are like the ones that I like the best. The John Fantes and the Charles Bukowskis. Their novels are just semi-autobiographical.
Sure.
You just take
Bukowski,
you take your own story and you just kind of twist it up and kick it up a notch. People will read it. People like, at least I do.
Yeah.
I like that realism. That's why I'm not a big like science fiction person. I like the fiction, but like the realistic fiction. I want to learn like the sex, the drugs, the rock and roll, that kind of like lifestyle, living on Skid Row.
Yeah.
Like I'm attracted to that kind of writing.
Yeah.
That's what I like. And I think we all have that in us in some way, like our own stories.
Right.
If you can just, put a little artistic spin on it.
Yeah.
And I think some people might just have that science fiction. If they're big into that, they could probably write a good space story.
That's the stuff I like.
And absolutely. I think anybody could probably do it. You just would have to take the time to do it.
Yeah.
And what Hank Moody said when his daughter Becca wrote a book, he goes, "You wrote your first book. Here's what I would do. I'd burn it.
Right.
I'd have a drink tonight, and I'd start on the next one.
That's
Because
it.
the first one's always going to be shit. Yeah. But you just got to do it. You got to get it out of your system."
All right. Start tomorrow.
We're all writing a book now. Yes. Like Kiss when they all did their solo albums.
Keith had a friend in Silver Plume, Colorado, a guy named Ted Parker. That's the reenactment guy from earlier about.
Oh, Turkey. Yeah. What are you doing here, Turkey?
Turkey. If I ever see you guys in public, I'm like, "Oh yeah, what are you doing in Target, you old turkey?" Give him like the old pat on the back. Like, "Oh, I see they let anybody in here."
That's like a classic line. They let anybody in here.
That's like a dad line, right? Like, "Oh, I see they just let anybody in here."
Ted owned the cafe in Silver Plume and told Keith, if you want a quiet place to focus on writing a book, come out to Silver Plume. So Keith took off time from work and planned a 3-month trip to Silver Plume. He would be going alone, and his wife and kids would be staying behind in Chicago. But if he liked it enough out there, he was kicking around the idea of maybe giving up Chicago completely and moving to Silver Plume full time. When Keith showed up in Silver Plume in the summer of 1988, he already had an in with his friend Ted, but he fully immersed himself to be part of the town. Keith rented out Tom Young's old bookstore and set it up as an antique shop. He used this to make some income and as a writing space. To sleep, Keith rented out an old apartment connected to the back of an abandoned Catholic church. Regarding Keith renting Tom's old bookstore, how the story goes is that at the time of renting the space, Keith didn't know about Tom Young or the fact that he went missing. He found out later through town gossip at the cafe that Ted owned.
Go ahead.
What I was going to say is I read the police report from after all this happened later and notes in the investigation and stuff. And it indicated that Ted was the one that rented this place to both of them. Which I found very interesting. And so when we say that they said that Keith didn't know about it, I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, then if Ted was the one that rented it to him.
That's what it said in the police report or in the investigation notes that were available.
It would be interesting to bring up, but if you're also Ted, like maybe you don't want to scare off your friend, you're happy to have him in town, you don't want to spook him out.
It also said that...
So maybe you don't tell him, is what I'm saying. Like you kayfabe it a little bit.
Maybe. It also said that Keith had been visiting his friend Ted in this town for 12 years, off and on, before he decided to come out here.
He might have heard something.
So when I see that he didn't know about it, I find it hard to believe.
He didn't know about it says who?
I read a version of this story that made it seem like he purposefully rented out Tom Young's spot because Tom Young was missing. Like he wanted to immerse himself that much into it.
For his book.
Right. I don't think that that's how it played out. I mean, it could have.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's all because a lot of it's just hearsay.
Right.
And interviewing people. So,
well, and then looking, it's like, it's hindsight. It's like, well, I think he said this, or I think he knew this.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
When you have, like we always say, when you actually knew the truth, you're gonna be like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. But for a guy that's been visiting his friend for 12 years out there, who owns the cafe next door and who rented it to both of them, I find it hard to believe that he didn't know anything about it.
The fact that it's his friend rented it and he'd been going out for 12 years, I think absolutely.
Unless those notes are fully mistaken, but that's what it said.
Was this also just like a touristy town? Like, how does an antique shop thrive with 200 people? Like, this has to be like, hey, pull off and see Sliver Plume.
Roadside attraction.
Come have the cafe. It's a quaint little town. It has to be, right?
On the road to Denver. It has to be,
just stop off here. And because you're not making money in an antique shop with 200 people. Everyone's like, yeah, that's fucking my lamp. I sold it to you. I'm not fucking coming in and buying it back.
Yeah. Well, getting a little ahead of ourselves, but it also said in there that the cop interviewed this Ted Parker, and getting to talking to him, he said that Ted was a little, unrealistic at times with expectations and things like that. And it kind of seems like
Ted was unrealistic, or
Keith was
Ted?
Keith.
Okay.
Sorry, that Ted said that his friend Keith was unrealistic and
like an antique shop in the town of 200.
Yeah, like he planned on making enough money from this to make the move out here full time and stuff.
That's what they talked about in the documentary. But I was like, so they must get a lot of tourists then, because
apparently not, because that didn't pan out, because he wasn't. We'll talk about it later. He wasn't really making enough money to sustain himself out here.
So I don't know if it was something that he, like we just talked about, if he planned this, like he purposely wanted Tom Young's spot to write this book.
It's hard to know. It's hard to tell.
But he ends up immersing himself in this idea of Tom Young's disappearance. And there's similarities there. Tom moved to Sliver Plume for a quieter life. That's what Keith was doing. Both of them were in the same age range. And it starts to unravel. Keith decided that his novel was going to be based off of the life and disappearance of Tom Young. To keep it a fictional novel, Keith came up with a character named Guy Gypsum. Guy Gypsum was a blend of Keith and Tom, but first Keith needed to really figure out who Tom was, like exactly who Tom was.
It's funny, when I did that intro, I said Tom, Keith, or Gus. The guy's name is Guy. Gus was Tom's dog's name. So,
in all fairness, they all met the same fate.
This is true.
Oh yeah, I guess that is a spoiler. Sorry,
Gus, Guy, whoever.
If you're just tuning in.
Keith started to immerse himself into Tom's life. He was more or less interviewing people in town to learn as much as he could about Tom. Keith would go to local spots that Tom had visited, walk the same paths that Tom was known to walk. And in a lot of ways it seemed like he was seeing himself as a continuation of the story that Tom had left unfinished. And this became an obsession to where he was just like Guy Gypsum, pretty much, which is honestly Tom Young. Like, it's just blended.
It was just blurring the lines.
Yeah.
Like, almost seemed like Keith didn't know where he stopped and Tom started and Guy began.
Right. And
which is crazy.
And people around town said that that's all he would talk about is like Tom.
I think we have some audio of Keith from his computer they pulled off later.
Uh-oh.
What's my name?
I'm Keith Reinhard.
I'm Tom. My name is Gus Gypsum.
Guy Reinhard.
I'm Guy Gypsum. Guy Gypsum. Guy Gypsum. Guy Gypsum. Guy Gypsum.
There you go. He morphed into Guy Gypsum.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was his actual metamorphosis there.
Wow. I can't believe you captured that. On the spot.
They pulled it off his computer. Well, they found it in the archives.
That was it. Now he's Guy Gypsum.
Yeah, that's it. He transformed. Like Jeff Goldblum in The Fly. Now he's Guy Gypsum.
On July 31st, 1988, the remains of Tom Young and his dog Gus were found in a secluded wooded area outside of Sliver Plume. Two hikers were walking through and stumbled upon the skeletal remains. Tom was dressed for a walk in the woods and had a backpack with him, suggesting that he might have been, just going out on a hike. Laying next to Tom's and Gus's remains was the Smith & Wesson Model 36 revolver. The scene fell under Clear Creek County's jurisdiction, and when the autopsy was done, it was found that Tom and Gus had each died from a single gunshot wound to the head. They also found that Tom had purchased a Smith & Wesson Model 36 revolver 4 months before the disappearance. To Clear Creek County, Tom's death was an open and shut suicide.
Was it, though?
What were, did they investigate, the gunshot wounds? Were they consistent with suicide? I mean, at least for Tom, obviously the dog wasn't committing suicide, but, did they get into that? Did they explain any of that?
I didn't see anything.
The way the body, fell? Was it consistent with suicide? Or was it, where was the wound on his head? Did they even say that?
That's what they found of his head, so.
But you would still find a gunshot wound, right?
Yeah, he would. I'm just saying it was pretty.
So it's just a skull. Yeah, I'm just wondering, how they came to that conclusion, or was this just more of one shot each? There's a gun, closed.
I think there was nothing to show it wasn't suicide. I think that's the presumption in something like that.
That's what I mean, though. You could tell where the wound was on the head. Was it consistent? You're not shooting yourself necessarily in the back of the head.
I don't think it was in the back of the head. No.
But based on what? Just based on them saying it was suicide? That's just what I'm wondering. I just didn't know if we knew.
I didn't read the coroner's report, but yeah. I mean, the people of town took issue with it, though.
Mm-hmm. One of the first things was that Tom's revolver found next to him and Gus was too rusted to run ballistics on it, making it impossible to 100% prove that the bullet came from Tom's gun.
Yeah, but,
It's the same type of gun.
I mean, sure, you can't do 100%, but
right.
It's a good question on the bullet wounds, though. They didn't have that autopsy report, but
that's what I mean. Yes,
they signed off on it and said it was 100% suicide.
Yeah, so. They're like, oh, this is but we've heard that so many times that we're just like, oh,
sure.
I don't know. Especially because my initial thoughts were not in line with this. That when I read it, I was like, well, but how do they know? Why was this such? Other than there was no evidence of foul play, which I get. But then, I just didn't know if the wounds also lined up or if that was just something they're like, well, maybe they don't line up, but there's no foul play, so.
I didn't see anything indicated the wounds didn't line up, but it's a valid question.
People question the fact that there was no suicide note left behind. The spot that Tom and Gus were found in was extremely random. And the biggest thing to everyone was that there were no warning signs. Everyone said that, no way Tom would kill himself. He seemed like a really happy, chill guy, just hanging out with his dog and owning his bookstore. Everybody felt that this had to be Tom stumbled on something that he shouldn't have. And this twist in it fueled Keith's obsession even more.
That makes sense. He's writing his book, right? And so while he's writing the book, they find the remains, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
After
so he's
already
salivating now.
He's already become obsessed. The Guy Gypsum thing is we are Guy Gypsum now.
Yeah. They found us out in the woods with our dog. But
go ahead.
I would say to these people's point of view, the guy was a loner, right? People felt like they maybe knew him because they came in the bookstore and whatnot, but they,
He didn't interact with anyone really.
Yeah, they didn't know him well enough to say he wasn't depressed. He's not capable of suicide.
Just because he smiled at you when you passed in the street doesn't mean he was happy.
Outward appearances don't really.
You certainly don't know what someone's going through internally,
right?
And a loner like that whose only friend is their dog, I think it's pretty safe to say that if you're going to do that to yourself, you're probably going to take your dog with you. You're not going to leave him out there like that.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to leave him stranded.
Yeah, no. Starting around August 5th, 1988, Keith started telling everyone in Silver Plume that he was going to be climbing Pendleton Mountain, which is part of the Rockies. Keith was afraid of heights and had issues with vertigo. So everyone in town was like, yeah, right. That's not a good idea.
I also read that he asked some of these people to go with him, too.
Okay.
They're like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Nah, fuck that. I'm standing right here.
On August 7th, 1988, Keith stopped in Ted's Cafe around 4:30 p.m. and told Ted that he was heading out to climb Pendleton Mountain. Ted warned Keith that he would need a full day to pull that off, and it probably wasn't a good idea just because of the whole vertigo issue. Regardless, Keith headed out wearing only a light shirt, jeans, and tennis shoes. No survival gear, not even a bottle of water or map.
Seems smart. And also in the police notes, it said that Ted and Keith had tried to climb it previously, and Keith didn't make it. Like he got hung up and he was stuck and had to go back down and stuff. That was with a friend, and not at 4:30 at night before it's
very weird.
It's weird
behavior.
It is odd.
On the Unsolved Mystery, they said he was wearing a red flannel also. I don't know if that came into play in this story, how it ends. Because he was wearing a big bright red, like Mick Foley style flannel, and they said he took off in a T-shirt with a flannel and jeans.
There's pictures of him with that flannel on.
Okay.
Yeah. One might think that if one were to get lost and one was searching for them, it might be easy to find that red flannel.
Yeah.
Easier.
It would stand out.
It would stand out against a green backdrop.
The search effort to find Keith was one of the largest in Clear Creek County history. It involved over 100 people from professional rescue teams, volunteers, and law enforcement officers. The teams used helicopters and ground teams to comb through all that rugged area surrounding Pendleton Mountain. Despite these extensive search efforts, no trace of Keith was found, not even a footprint, piece of clothing, anything. During the search for Keith, a small Cessna plane that was part of the search team crashed into the side of Pendleton Mountain. The pilot was killed and the spotter was severely injured, resulting in the scaling back of the search as winter was approaching.
I also in that police report they talked about interviews with the Alpine search team, and they said that the whole mountain was pockmarked with things like old abandoned mine shafts and stuff like that. So if you fell into a mine shaft,
They're
They're not finding you.
No.
Yeah.
They said that they guessed they probably covered 12% of the mountain in that search. It just wasn't possible.
He probably wouldn't even know what to be looking for, like what would be a warning sign of a mine shaft. You know what I mean? Like he could just step right into it.
Probably not.
And this is all us assuming, the theory that he was actually trying to climb the mountain.
Right.
Yeah, there were references to, the midlife crisis, kind of moving out west, trying to get in better shape, doing things that you're probably not going to be able to do in 10 years when you really are older because he's approaching 50.
Yeah.
But, maybe a guy from Chicago is not that well equipped and knowledgeable about, hiking
doing
up
an outside.
mountains in Colorado. Yeah, especially with abandoned mine shafts and things like that. All by yourself with no gear and...
The not even a water bottle thing.
Like this dumb.
That seems...
That's the part, at the end, from my final thoughts. But the no water bottle is really weird.
Also jeans that like as you sweat, they're just going to get tighter on you and like not like stretch. And
I'm uncomfortable just talking about that. Ugh.
You shouldn't climb a mountain in jeans.
Oh.
No. And we don't do outsides, but even we know that.
Yeah.
Two things you don't do: climb a mountain in jeans and in flip flops. If there's anything you can take from the show, don't do those things.
One more thing: climb a mountain.
Yeah, also that. But people love to do their hikes and mountain climbing and all that. They're gonna do it. Please don't do it in flip flops or jeans.
Flip flop. I saw a report he might have had a can of pop with him, so he's probably fine.
All right. He had a Diet Mountain Dew. He's good.
During the investigation into Keith's life, like trying to find a suicide note or something like that, why he would have taken this hike so unprepared, authorities found the last thing that Keith wrote in his computer for his novel. It said, quote, "Guy Gypsum changed into some hiking boots and donned a heavy flannel shirt. He understood Tom now and his motivation. Guy closed the door and then walked off toward the lush, shadowless Colorado forest above."
Like, I don't normally believe in coincidences, but I feel like this is a self-manifested coincidence, and he kind of romanticized Tom's exit, and like we said earlier, was kind of morphing into him in some way and possibly following in his footsteps kind of thing. It seems coincidental on the surface, but is it though?
Yeah, when you first say it, when you're like, oh, this guy, one guy goes missing. Then this guy comes in, rents the same storefront, and he goes missing.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's fucking creepy.
He probably stumbled upon something in his role as owning the store, and then something happened to the first guy, and then this guy moved in. Maybe he stumbled upon the same kind of thing and met the same fate, but not sure that's where this is going.
With Keith not taking the water bottle with him, that makes me feel like that's somebody that wasn't gonna come back. So that's my opinion on this whole story. I think it's about how hard it is to accept that somebody who seems happy can commit suicide. Like how the people of Silver Plume felt with Tom Young, that it was impossible that a guy like him would do something like that. Keith Reinhard's family feels that with him. We'll never know for sure, but Keith was going around telling everybody in Silver Plume that he was going to climb the mountain. Dave, you said he was trying to get people to go with him. That goes against the suicide thing if he's trying to get people to go with him.
But maybe that's just people, misremembering.
Right.
I don't know. They talked to the guy. He was going up there like, yeah, he's trying to get me to go. Was he?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
The last thing he wrote mixed with not taking the water bottle, like that.
The water bottle thing.
That gives you a suicide note vibe to a degree.
It does. And the people that think, he was okay and not about to commit suicide. I mean, he left his wife in Chicago for 3 months and went out west by himself.
Yeah.
And there was in the investigatory notes, it said that his wife was very upset about it. Every time he talked to her, she was crying and missing him and stuff. So clearly things were not okay. It's not
this
something you do in your marriage if things are okay, right? This was midlife crisis, finding yourself, maybe possibly looking for another life.
But then you could just move home. Why is killing yourself the answer then?
Maybe he didn't like it at home. Maybe this was his last chance at sort of finding a different life for himself.
And then also, I think the writing part. It's easy to look back at as a suicide note now that you know he's dead. Otherwise, it's just a piece in a fiction novel. When you nitpick it, sure, it could be a suicide note.
Yeah.
What else are you doing if you go totally unprepared up the side of a mountain, I guess, at nearing, not really the end of the day, but towards the end of the day?
Either you're incredibly naive and you think you can just go in the wilderness like that, and you don't really think things through.
Maybe that's all it was.
Or he's, going to commit suicide. Regardless of what happened to Keith, I think that for sure Tom Young's death was a suicide. And I think people in Silver Plume were definitely suffering from that whole thing of like, you can't imagine somebody who seemed happy would commit suicide.
Yeah.
And in reality, like when you said too earlier, they don't really know him.
No.
Like, who knows? Something might have happened to him during his military service.
Of course.
The suicide rate among vets is crazy.
Do you ever really know someone?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Especially a loner, the townspeople, they probably didn't really know him. It's just suicide's a hard thing to wrap your head around.
Right.
Even when you don't know the guy too well. Like, he would never do that. You don't know. You're just talking out of your ass.
And I think the dog is added into it. When you see this guy with his dog every single day and,
Yeah. There's something so lonely about killing yourself out in the woods in a remote place where I presume you're hoping no one ever finds you. Like, that's an awful thing.
Or just like having the privacy of it, right? Because you have to know they're going to find you.
Dude, it
right?
took a year, didn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, maybe so. I guess I would think that wherever I killed myself, like eventually they're going to find me. Because you can't really hide yourself after the fact.
I guess you're hoping maybe the animals
maybe.
tear you apart and you just kind of...
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't much left of them.
Exactly. Is it possible that Keith wanted to start a new life and disappeared? There's reports that he was at a party a couple nights before he disappeared and spent a large amount of time that night speaking to a woman from Denver who was in for the party. Greta or Gretchen, they've never been able to locate her, apparently.
There's one new clue because that's definitely a possibility. There's never been any remains found of Keith. A quote from local news out in Silver Plume, quote, "In December 2021, new clues, including the discovery of Keith Reinhard's wallet, were discovered by 2 hikers on Pendleton Mountain while shooting footage for a college film, which is now turned into a documentary on the Reinhard disappearance, featuring this new shocking evidence. That was Eric, Walter, and Christine Irons. They found Keith's wallet. Their website is darksidedoc.com, and it says that the documentary is in post-production. I'm really looking forward to that documentary because that is a crazy, not coincidence, but just thing to stumble upon while you're shooting. You're filming for something else.
Yeah, sure. So just a wallet, no bones, no human remains, nothing like that.
Nope, just his wallet.
What kind of shitty documentary could they have been making in a small town of 200 people? That would have been that great.
Blair Witch 3.
Yeah. And then they actually stumbled upon something that, might make them millionaires.
Hopefully it comes out soon. Hopefully they can put it out.
They got a cool website. That's the website I found the police notes on.
Yeah, that Dark Side Doc.
Yeah.
Theoretically, he could have just went off to find a new life.
It's possible. What's the scenario where did he just drop his wallet walking up the mountain?
Yeah.
You don't know. You can't ever account for all possible scenarios. But just the fact that the wallet was there and no remains or anything. Look, you never know. People walk away and do crazy shit sometimes. We're going to talk about somebody next week that,
Yeah. That does some real
fucking
crazy
nutty.
shit.
You never know.
Keith was
never know.
not in a good state of mind, regardless of what he did at the end. Like
clearly.
Yeah.
You don't leave your family a couple thousand miles away to go out west to find yourself and try to start a new life and become obsessed with this story of this guy and
create a new alter ego.
I'm Guy Gypsum. So yeah, I don't know.
The water bottle thing, that just made that whole how unprepared he was just makes me feel like he wasn't coming back. He knew he wasn't coming back, so it's either he just started that new life somehow, or
maybe he pitched his wallet in the woods and got in the car with that woman from Denver and he was gone. I did see that they say the woman seemingly didn't know anything about it because she tried to come back and visit him a couple days after this and didn't know anything about his disappearance.
Okay.
So maybe that ties up that loose end.
It also seems a little weird if you're trying to kayfabe your suicide or disappearance. You're going to go to a cafe and tell everyone you're going to the woods at 4:30 where they're like, well, that's not right.
Yeah.
So that it seems a little odd to do that, to start if you want to start your new life, do it at a time where no one even's going to know you're missing or say you went anywhere. Or he's kind of telling everyone hey, here's where I'm going.
Yeah.
Whether it be to commit suicide or start a new life.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want people to find you, you might leave a note or a hint, as opposed to just saying, "Oh, I'm climbing the mountain."
It's kind of along the same lines of what Tom Young did. Tom Young went around telling everybody he was going to Europe and made sure everybody in town knew that he was planning to go to Europe.
Is this his way of copying Tom Young?
I don't know, maybe.
That's what I struggle with. I still don't buy that. I don't buy that. I don't buy the whole Heath Ledger was so into the Joker that he killed himself. That people, the conspiracy theories that are out there.
That's silly.
No, he was a pill addict. That's what happened. And he OD'd and passed away. I don't know. This one's weird for me. I don't know if I buy the suicides on either account. But I don't know if I buy that, any foul play happened. I just don't think I don't know if I accept any of those
It's
answers.
tough to say.
Yeah.
Crazier things have happened. They both could have stumbled upon something. And
Well, could Tom have been killed?
sure.
And then it went away and it was ruled a suicide. Story over. Now this guy comes into town and he's asking all kinds of questions.
Yes.
And he's going to write a book. And this is going to blow up, or it might blow up into a whole national story. Someone says, hey, I know what happened, but kayfabe it, meet me out here, I'll give you the information. Boom, he's killed. That was my initial thought when I watched the show last night. And then I read Ian's notes and I was like, okay, maybe there is a suicide, but I'm not convinced either way.
it's
I
easy.
think Keith
It's easy
might
to
have fallen into an accident whereas Tom might have somehow been involved in something or stumbled into something also.
Yeah.
And then Keith was starting to, start a fire where he shouldn't have been, and it ruffled some feathers.
All those things are plausible.
And maybe he had a kayfabe it like, no, I'm going to climb this mountain by myself at 4:30 on an evening where I'm afraid of heights and I have vertigo, knowing he's going to get a scoop on a story.
Yeah, and maybe that was his way of just telling people where he was going. So if something happened to him, they would go look for him.
Yeah, maybe
When he was
like a
gonna
last
meet somebody
little,
up there?
but can't tell them like,
Sure.
hey, I'm going to get a scoop for this novel.
Sure. Like a backup plan, so at least people had an idea of where he was going.
I think it's plausible. That's why I like these stories. I don't fucking know where my mind is on this.
One other thing, Keith's wife was scheduled to visit in a couple days, so she did actually show up a couple days after his disappearance. Like had a press conference thanking the pilot that got killed and the spotter.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, man.
Yeah, but I mean,
And not finding his remains makes it even more mysterious,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
you can't.
yeah.
But if someone was going to kill him up there, taking his wallet, pitching him, and taking their body, leaves it wide open. And
I mean, you could just push him down a mine shaft and no one will ever find him.
that's true. Sure.
Yeah. And then you could even throw his wallet out to be like, well, look, he was hiking. Like they could have planted that as well.
He could have dropped his wallet while he was falling down the mine shaft.
There's just something about this story to me that something's telling me it's foul play. And there's maybe it's because they were so quick with Tom to say suicide. Okay, 2 bullet holes, but no evidence to support it. No evidence to support foul play either. And then this happens, and was this guy so mentally unstable that he just fell into this guy gypsum role and decided to kill himself?
He was like,
Or was he obsessed with finishing the book and fell down the same path that Tom fell in for whatever it might
not
have
sure.
been? I don't know.
seem, a stable guy for the most part. Sports writer,
Old
suburban
turkey, old
Chicago.
turkey, happy guy.
Or does that midlife crisis really fuck with some people's heads that much? I don't know.
Maybe that's it too. I mean, I didn't know that his wife was calling him every night crying and telling him he needs to come home, and maybe he really didn't want to go home. That's
what Ted told the cop anyway.
a different perspective.
But if Ted was involved,
Yeah.
that's what he would tell the cop.
But all Ted's involvement was renting the place.
well, who knows though? Maybe he's
that we know of. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That we're saying.
But I'm saying if Ted's trying to run some interference,
Yeah.
that's what he would say. But they had known each other for 40 years. I don't know. It seems unlikely.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a very strange story.
It is.
It really is.
Quite odd.
I like these ones the best to talk about, though. Because I like when we're telling a story and my mind changes 15 times as we're going through.
Right.
Because it's just interesting.
If Keith really manifested this, like that would be like the craziest example of like making things manifest like that, because he in a way did kind of finish out Tom's story type thing, or just at least went right along with it.
Did anything ever become of his manuscript for his book?
Not that I saw.
Yeah, Ted never finished it. I didn't see anything either. That would have been nice of Ted.
And I also don't know how far he had kind of like come with the book. Like, could they have released it as is? That'd be interesting to read.
Mm-hmm.
Did they ever release any parts of it? Like, I wonder if there's any other information in the book that could lead us one way or another.
Good point. Not that
Like, was the story leading towards a suicide? Was the story leading towards, I suspect, foul play? Did Keith ever, I meant to ask this before, did Keith ever suspect foul play? Once they found the remains of Tom and they ruled it a suicide, I wonder if Keith ever spoke out about what he thought.
I was under the impression that Keith felt the same way the rest of the town felt, that there was foul play involved.
And they didn't accept the police report.
Right. That's the way I took it.
Yeah.
Is that he was like right in there with everybody in town.
makes sense.
Which could also then impact, if there were foul play, the perpetrators being like, we don't want this book coming out.
Of course, like semi-biograph,
Which is what it was.
however you want to. Yeah.
And again, he's bringing up questions that they're like, no, this was already squashed. This needs to go away.
Look, it's completely reasonable that if Tom found himself embroiled in something that he shouldn't have been.
You think he was getting illegal books off like the black market and selling them out of his
Bootleg
store?
Dr. Seuss copies from China. But if he got killed for something he found his way into that he shouldn't have, then it's completely logical that Keith coming in may have, he's on the trail trying to figure out what happened to him, and he may have found it. That's not beyond the realm of possibility.
Because it's very easy then to look back and kind of use evidence to portray the picture you want to portray.
Oh, yeah.
In any of these cases we cover. But if you just happen to be wrong on one of them, that changes everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to put this together.
I'm not saying I have a final answer on this. I'm just saying I'm not as convinced or as set that this was just a straight up 2 suicides.
I'm not convinced either.
Something just
I don't
seems
know
a
what
little,
the answer is.
a little weird.
I'm not convinced on Keith's for sure.
Because there's no body found.
Yeah.
That's the other part. Like,
Right. The fact that the same type of gun that Tom had bought 4 months earlier was found right next to his body. I don't know.
But couldn't you also take that camping, like, or hiking with you or walking? Right? Like, if I had a gun, I would take it with me just to have on me.
That's true too.
Doesn't mean it was used, that I used it, but, and
Someone
we don't
could
know.
have disarmed him, threw his gun on the ground, and shot him in the head. Sure.
Yeah. Hey, meet me in the woods. I got a book deal for you. It's going to blow your mind.
I got original Dr. Seuss sign.
You go with Dr. Seuss. Oh, that's great.
I got the Cat in the Hat with a typo. It's worth $20,000.
And then they lure him in, but then they hit him with like Moby Dick, like a hard bound. So it's a heavy thud to the head. They fucking put him out.
The book killer.
I'm really looking forward to that documentary.
I hope it comes out.
Yeah.
That's a wild thing to catch on tape.
I hope they didn't fake it or something. Has this all been...
I mean, I guess we're taking their word for it as of right now.
So we don't know for sure that's his actual wallet that was found.
I couldn't find a. Did
Wouldn't
you find
the
an actual
police-
picture of it? Because
would
I
the
couldn't.
police
find
not
it.
have that?
That's what I'm saying. Aren't they obligated to take that to the police, or are they holding out until this movie comes out?
I don't
That's
know.
what I was.
I mean, it's
clear
still an
on.
open investigation, I would imagine, right? Or something they would reopen. How could you not? How could you make those claims and not turn it into the police?
Yeah,
They must have. This must have been verified.
yeah, they had to have. Because Keith's family is working with them. When I was reading through their website, like they've shared all kinds of information with them.
Because Keith, like Tom's family, believed there was foul play.
Right.
They both families believe foul play.
Nobody thinks anyone killed themselves.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
If I have to give my opinion, that's what I would say happened. It seems like
Suicide?
Suicide.
like the most logical, but weirder things have happened. Maybe everything that you guys said, it could be absolutely plausible.
I agree with you. It's the most logical. It's the most likely scenario to have occurred. But, I'm not going to rule anything out because crazy shit happens all the time.
Yeah, like you said, next week we're going to be talking about one where
Yeah.
You guys are hyping the fuck out of next week.
Keith might, in 10 years, somebody might find Keith.
Exactly right.
We'll do
Speculate from there what we're talking about.
We'll do a necro OT when they find Keith's remains. All right, good stuff.
Yeah. Come to your own conclusion. I don't know.
Don't go try to climb mountains.
Don't do
with
it.
nothing on
Don't
you.
be a fucking idiot and climb a mountain. Even if you have stuff on you, just stay home, play a video game.
Stay in Denver. Smoke some weed.
Yeah, there you go.
Fine.
Go to one of the fantastic breweries out there. Do a weed and a brewery. How about that?
Don't do all that midlife crisis shit. Go get a tattoo or something. Don't go climb a mountain.
Go get a tattoo. Go do
As
that.
someone who's past midlife, I concur.
What do you got on Patreon?
Thank you to new patrons Chad Chatterson, Natasha Artiaga, Jess, Connor Williams, Mitchies Fishies, Gerbil Spanker, Andrea Skiles, Ben Hoshin, Elm Chanted, Margie Fytak, Jozu, Tambra Whitlow, Living Dead Ghoul, Tammy Kawamoto, Haley, Adriana, Daniel MacArthur, Logman 8D, Sam, Kayla Burrell, Autumn, Dakota Driver, Brock Hipsher, You Still Tryin', Nick Richards, Captain Skeeter Yeeter Yeeting Skeetin' a City Near You. I did it wrong, hang on. Captain Skeeter Yeeter Yeeting Skeet in a City Near You. There we go. And Ann Edwards. Thank you so much, new patrons.
Happens every time. It happens every time. Ann Edwards comes behind whatever the fuck that Skeet one was.
Just that normal name.
Yeah.
Ian, what do you got?
For iTunes, I have one for Brandyland 86, Susie Phoebe, Kermith Kent, Guardian the Liberator, Justano's Reviews, and UCMC Tex Cowboy. They left, this was an updated review because they left one last week. They updated for your history episode.
Oh.
I read them last week.
Teddy Roosevelt one?
Yeah.
I'm glad they liked it. So they were 5-star last week as well, though, right?
Yeah.
Because you read it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. Anything else, Dave?
Yeah, I got some internationals. I got some military shout outs. I got a bunch of shit.
Let's go.
Thank you, Luaim2 and Cal Ray Myers from Canada. Gonzo1526, also from Canada, and Kix26 from Australia. Thank you for those kind reviews. Have a couple of military shout outs. United States Marine Corps vet Ronald from his wife Nikki. They just had their first child. Thank you for your service. Enjoy that new kid.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And a shout out to T Baker, who just joined the military. He's an airman basic. Finishes basic training. He'll be Airman First Class T Baker. So it's from his sister Gigi. Thank you for your service and good luck.
Yeah, best of luck.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I think that's all I got.
All right, good show.
Okay.
We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Is that on? I feel like, YouTube. That's the other one I forgot. My flow felt off on my socials. At Necronomipod, patreon.com/Necronomipod, amazon.com, search Necronomipod for all of our merch, and necronomipod.com.
You guys ready for a cool down beer?
Cheers.